Pardew's.
Hot man! Good God!
Hello and welcome to Pardew's Hot Pants, the nostalgic spin-off from the 5-Year Plan podcast. I'm Jim Daly, and joining me this week to talk about our Dream Palace Stag Do 11, it's a man who I know. We've talked about his stag before, has an interesting stag story. It's Mr. Richard Foster. Hello to you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yes, my stag do was so long ago. It's a very grainy black and white image, I'm afraid.
There was it came up before. You mentioned it. There was something around a football match. I can't remember.
We went to Portugal to play football, and we met some locals who weren't that keen on us. So I got whacked on the back of the head with a crate.
Oh, and then
had to have stitches put into the back of my head.
That's right.
The week before our wedding, and then obviously when you're getting married in a church, as I did, you're in front of the whole congregation. You're back as you're facing the reverend. And my father-in-law, who wasn't a massive football fan, said, "What is that on the back of his head?" And I think we made something up about it wasn't anything to do with getting attacked in Portugal playing football. I don't think he'd have been that keen.
I'd have to say, I don't think being a football fan is a precursor to asking why you got a massive whack on your head, to be honest. But there you go.
True. But, I just thought the story about going to Portugal playing football and getting whacked on the head wasn't... I think it was possibly a domestic accident rather than something like that.
Well, that is very nicely setting the tone for this week's episode. Also joining us, a man who came to my stag do, where we actually played football at Selhurst. Slightly different from Richard's story. No injury. Actually, there was one injury to Rizzo, who actually genuinely used Connor Wickham's crutches to come off the pitch, which was nice. Anyway, it's Jesse Boyce, of course. How are you?
Good afternoon, JD and Rich. I'm good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Yeah, looking forward to talking about Stag Do Palace players. It's been very fun researching this one. Before we do that, guys, I'm delighted to announce, obviously on the last episode of Pardew's Hot Pants, we were sponsored by Matthew J.I. Wood, a Sheffield-based graphic designer and massive Palace fan who creates beautiful football prints. And I'm delighted to say he is sponsoring this episode as well. Now, this month, Matthew is offering 15% off his new range of mugs. And I'm delighted to say we've all got one of these mugs right here, and they look absolutely fantastic. Now, they have a range of 4 prints available. The Holmesdale Road that Jesse has got there, the Arthur Waite that I've got here, the main stand that Richard's got there, and a brand new Sabutio-style lineup of the 1990 FA Cup final. With Christmas around the corner, they're the perfect gift for any Palace fan. Visit MatthewJRwood.com and use the code FYP15 at the checkout for 15% off Palace mugs. And that runs until November the 30th to make sure you get your order in time for Christmas. The mug designs are also available as A3 and A2 prints. And to have a look at all those, visit MatthewJRwood.com or follow him on Twitter at MatthewJIWood. Lads, have you been enjoying your Matthew J.I. Wood Palace print mugs? They're decent, aren't they, Richard?
Oh, God, they're very good. The first cup of tea I had in mine was just after the Fulham game, and it tasted very sweet.
Excellent. As it would do.
And obviously the whole family are very jealous of the fact that I've got this mug and they want them themselves. So guess what they're going to be getting in their Christmas stockings?
Well, there you go. Ideal Christmas present. Obviously, we've all chosen different stands. I chose the Arthur Waite, which is the first stand I ever sat in as a Palace fan. 1st of January 1992 to watch Palace beat Notts County 1-0. Marco Gabbiadini with the goal, so a real rarity. Jesse, you've chosen the Holmesdale. What was your reasoning behind that?
Well, it's where I had my favourite ever season ticket, or seat, really, at Selhurst for about 12 years, which I sadly had to give up to move to the main stand because I had to start bringing my child to the game, and where they wouldn't hear expletives and too much aggression. So I had to sacrifice my own match day experience for the benefit of the next generation. But, I took one for the team, as they say.
Well, one of the perks, though, of sitting in the main stand is you are very close to me.
That's true. And JD Senior and JCIS.
Yes, I can only apologise for JD Senior's constant swearing. I've tried to stop him. He just, he's a child of the 40s. It happens. Richard, you have chosen the main stand, though. In fact, like the three of us now, you are a main stand legend.
I'm a main stand mainstay. if I might say that.
Nice.
And I now take my son there. The generations are coming through. The expletives and the aggression, there's a little bit, isn't there? I mean, I sit very close to High Money, who, as we know, is a very famous photographer, possibly the first female sports photographer any note. And then also just in front of us is John Pienaar.
Yes, John Pienaar, big Palace fan.
Used to be political correspondent at the BBC and now works for Times Radio. And he's a very big man. He's a lovely guy. I interviewed him actually for the Palace Club site a couple of weeks ago about his experiences watching Palace Everton. He couldn't remember any games, but he's a good guy and he's got a hell of a moustache. Yes.
Yeah, well, he's done a lot and seen a lot, hasn't he? So, that's understandable. And that's just Palace, let alone all of his other things. Well, anyway, look, shout out to Matthew J. Wood sending us these mugs. Massively recommend getting on them. Great Christmas present, 15% off with the code FYP15. Get them from MatthewJwood.com. And as Richard says, the tea tastes very good in them, especially after that Fulham victory.
When you're considering your stag do, I thought what you've got to have is a cast of characters. Not all people who are just going to get absolutely smashed and fall over, because then it gets a bit messy. So I've gone for balance, as I would do in my normal football 11. So I've got attacking midfield players, but I've got defensive midfield players. I've got sharp fullbacks. I've got less sharp fullbacks. Anyway, I'm happy with my combination. Good. But I'm obviously interested in the way that both Jesse and you have approached.
Well, we've spoken about my stag. We've spoken about your stag. Jesse, do you can start us off, Jesse, with your goalkeeper, but tell us a little bit how your stag went down, and has it influenced your stag 11?
Absolutely. My stag do was a bit messy because we went to Barcelona. And,
there you go. Excellent.
And we did actually go to a Barca match, and everyone bought me merchandise on the way to the match. So by the time we got to the stand, I looked like John Portsmouth Football Club, Westwood, whatever his name is.
Did you get a bell? Did you get a bell as well?
You were the bell.
I was surrounded by bells. No, I actually did. They bought me a hat with lots of bells on it.
Of course, that silly jester one. Yeah,
I've got a picture somewhere. I'll send it to you. To be fair, they weren't too stingy. They bought me a Messi shirt, which cost about €100.
Wow.
And a scarf and a hat. And then, as you might know, it was a bank holiday weekend, and we chose that weekend because it was a bank holiday in May, and we arrived back at Gatwick and went straight to Selhurst for Christian
Yes, you have told me that. Yeah,
it was the ultimate sign. At 3-0 down, we wondered what we were doing, why we even bothered, and then half an hour later, or so, it was just the best end to a stag do ever.
That is incredible.
So nice to remember that after all that pain and endurance testing, Palace gave us a good little reference point for how to do a stag do.
How close were you to leaving the ground? Because you must have been quite hungover, having had a weekend in Barcelona. 3-0 down, 20 minutes to go. You're probably thinking, can we just go to the pub and have a hair of the dog? Or were you were obviously committed to the whole thing?
Well, yeah, we'd written the game off because it was supposed to be on the Saturday, and we booked everything 6 months beforehand. So we just kind of wrote that game off reluctantly. And then as it got closer to the game, and it became apparent Liverpool were in with a shout for the title, Sky moved it to the Monday evening. Yeah. And we'd already had our flights booked 6 months previous, 24 of us on Norwegian Air to Barcelona. So we just, as luck would have it, landed at Gatwick at 6 p.m. And then it was like a snatch montage, Guy Ritchie style. Literally had hand luggage, ran to the train, got to East Croydon. My dad was waiting there in his car, put our stuff in his boot. He dropped us at Selhurst, kept our luggage, and we got to our seats for the whistle. Literally seconds before the whistle. It was insane. Wow. And to answer your question, it was just everyone was standing up, obviously, because it was that season where our fans were just on peak form and just didn't sit down in the homestay at all. And being on your feet after that weekend, it was so tough. But as soon as the goals started going in, that all just became a sideshow. It was all about enjoying that moment. That's the story of my stag.
Well, listen, let's move on then, Jesse, to your goalkeeper or goalkeepers considered for our Stag do 11.
Well, there's only one goalkeeper First of all, my criteria for choosing my motley crew. Let's just say everything I'm about to say is based on public fact. It's not based on any opinion.
Here we go.
Anything about them is in the public domain. So
Okay.
don't sue me, anyone. If anyone wants, otherwise I better tweet Street.
I'm about to say I'm going to have to run this episode by Andy.
Definitely.
Anyway, let's start off softly. So my goalkeeper could only be Kalinko, and that's because he would have amazing local knowledge of Riga, which is where he'd probably go on a stag.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good to have the venue. That's
Yes.
an important part. I'll be
Yes.
thinking about this. Yeah.
I just thought, let's pick someone with local knowledge. He knows where the hospital is. He knows where the police station is. He knows distance between the airport and town.
Yeah.
He's the ringer that's got all the inside info. So and he's just a little bit of a loose cannon. So I just thought he'd offer some value. And I thought his nose would be a good joke for everyone else.
True. It'd be a good running joke. That's an excellent shout. I hadn't even... Do you know what? In all these people, I've not even considered location or venue, so that is another facet to it. Richard, who have you got in goal?
Well, I had a choice of two, actually. So I had Gabor Karayi, because I'd love to see him in his jogging pants. You know, we go somewhere... I don't know whether we go to Riga. I'm thinking about my venue. I was thinking a bit hotter. I know Latvia can get a bit hot, but I was thinking more sort of southern Mediterranean. But I'll come back to you on that. Maybe Naples would be a nice place to go.
Okay.
So Gabor Karayi in his jogging pants when it's 30 degrees would be fun. So he'd be the sweaty one. But in the end, I went for John Burridge, because how much fun could you have when he's doing his handstands in a bar? You know, and he's collecting the glasses on his feet and distributing them to the stag do. So in the end, I went for John because I thought he'd be more entertaining than just wearing a pair of grey pants.
Well, I mean, if you know that there'd be one night where Karai would make everyone wear the grey pants. It would, you know how everyone likes to wear standard stag uniform.
Uniform stag, yeah.
So I think there'd be one night you'd all be forced to wear them, which I think would be quite funny.
Stand up, baby. Let me see where you're coming from. Stand up, baby. Let me see. Hey, hit me. Good God.